none other than Julia Steele. And everyone is going to immediately say, I think that rings a bell somehow. What's in my memory around Nerves of Steel and Superman and all the heroes? It's an interesting concept, isn't it? You probably even can pick up a theme song, Julia, for your own name. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, Carrie. Thanks for having me.
Oh, look, absolute pleasure. And on a Tuesday, this is where we come and we have a chat about all things that are happening in this world of uncertainty at the moment. And Thrive Studio has come out of our need for how do we adapt to the different circumstances we're in? How do we make sense if we've lost our job, if all our contracts have disappeared, whether we've been in a household with 4 children and no respite for the last 2 months? Lots of different things are happening for everybody. But you are my guest today, and I'm so thrilled. Listeners, I got to know Julia only this year, and it was through an absolutely massive undertaking, a response to COVID-19 that she saw a need for and went straight into action over it. Total admiration. The Vid19 Online Conference happened basically at the beginning of our social isolation, or as somebody said to me the other day, safe sheltering, which I really love. I really love that. But yeah, we met over Vid19 Online Conference. So let's hear from you. Let's tell everybody some of the things that you do.
Thanks so much, Carrie. It's really lovely to be here. And one of the things I'm really enjoying about this time is that, as you said, we get to connect with so many people that we wouldn't have had the opportunity to, given that you're up in Sydney and I'm down here in Melbourne. But thank you so much for having me. And as you said, the Vid19 conference was a bit of a harebrained idea I had one Friday evening. It was right at the start of our isolation. I think it was probably the middle of March. And certainly all of my face-to-face work had been put on hold, and many of my peers in terms of speakers and trainers, their work had been put on hold as well. And I just thought, what if we just had a conference? And I thought, well, one day doesn't really feel like it's going to cut it, and it feels like we're going to be here for a while, so I'll do a 19-day conference. Why not? Who's going to tell me I can't do a 19-day conference? And so that's what we did. So I went off and found what started with 3 days of speakers. We had 3 days of speakers when we launched, and we ended up with 171, including me. But we had about 15,000 participants all up, 30 countries joined. So it was massive, but it was in my lounge room. That's the crazy thing, right? It was in my lounge room. Where would you hold 15,000 conference? In my lounge room with my laptop and my iPad.
Oh, well, it just goes to show what you can do when you start to think outside the box that you usually sit in. And that's what I believe our job is at the moment, is to share some of those ideas and say to people, hey, yes, you're feeling lousy, more than lousy if we really want to put some other adjectives to it. And how do we still find some light at the end of the tunnel, at the end of our days? And look, there's so much information around. So one of the questions I just love asking people is, what really takes your breath away when you think about the work that you really want to contribute to in your life? We've probably got a partial answer.
I think, I've just got an echo all of a sudden, but I'll keep going. One of the things that I notice, particularly now, is there's a lot of things that we can't do. And I do a lot of work with organisations, teams and individuals on the exact opposite. So what can we actually do? And all of this uncertainty, easy for us to let the can'ts, the shouldn'ts, the don'ts get in the way, and all of those actually detract from our energy, right? You and I have spoken a lot about the emotional intelligence side of things, and the heart and the strength that we feel inside, and all of those. You can't go out, you can't see your family, you shouldn't hug people, you can't get takeaway, you can't get coffee, you have to stand up, all of those things. Like, even just saying it, I can feel my energy slowly seeping out of me. And I think if I go back to Vid19 conference, there's plenty of people that would have said, I can't run a 19-day conference. I could have said that myself. I even said to my husband, Justin, you've got 5 minutes to talk me out of this. And he said, okay, that's go for it. I think he thought about it a bit longer than that, but he was very supportive. So in the work that I do, when I talk about nerves of steel and I talk about power and finding your power, it's actually the first place I start is, what do we give away? We give away so much. And I think what takes my breath away is actually if you stop that mindset and actually say, what can I do? Suddenly everything opens up, and you feel that power come back into you.
I think one of the interesting things that I've learned over this time is that there's a lot of people, we have similar skill sets in a lot of cases. And one of the things that's interested me is I'm not really into ferocious competition to totally flatten anybody. What I think has happened more and more is that people have said, let's come together, bring it all in, and let's share our ideas and really test the waters in a way of what we could do, something that I would never have thought of doing. I hear, well, actually it's possible, you know? I mean, 19 days is an absolutely huge commitment.
It is.
You're on every day and every moment of those days for all your speakers, and you're dealing with their anxiety or their questions around various things.
I think it goes back to what I was saying before. There's plenty of reasons why we can't, and I think even in the context of leadership, I've had quite a few conversations over the last few weeks with people that work in corporate families, parents, and they say, well, I can't homeschool my children. I was like, well, but you're also not expected to homeschool your children. The school is homeschooling your children. You're there to parent. That changes. You're not suddenly meant to become a teacher. You're not suddenly meant to become a leader. It's not like we can order in leadership on Uber Eats or anything. We've got to play with what we've got.
Well, under stress, the levels start to, it just seems to come in closer and closer and add more weight to it. And you can understand that. I had a number of friends who I said, how about I pop online in the afternoon and I read some books, we'll have some story time. You just sit them down. I'll talk to them for a little bit and we'll have a conversation and we'll read a story. So apart from my grandkids, I've been able to do it for a few other people's children because I recognise that they were feeling really under pressure. Professional people and their work ethic was bumping up. So anytime we get these massive feelings or triggers for a behaviour, we know that it's hit a value, belief or some assumption of ours. So, it's really important.
Absolutely.
Sorry. That's the thing about going live. It's a bit of fun. You can bump on each other every now and then. Tell us so something around, is there anything new you're doing that you've had the basis of a skill or a habit in place, but you've realised in the last, say, 2 months, you've actually changed that or sharpened it or thrown it away? Is there something that you would share with us?
Oh, plenty of things. I've actually found a lot of time to pick up stuff that I haven't done for a long time. That's the first thing I've really enjoyed. So I'm a keen musician, but was probably an ad hoc player before that. So I picked up, even just having time to play the piano again, cook more dinner than I've cooked before. I've got a couple of crafting projects that I think have been going for a decade that I've tried to fix. So I've actually picked up a lot of those, and actually the joy that's brought back into my life has been wonderful. I think there's also plenty of things that I've stopped, and obviously, not going into meetings.
That's been a big one, hasn't it?
Into town to be able to see clients face to face. That's obviously gone. But it doesn't mean that I can't connect with people. And but even just trying to consciously not use Zoom, to pick up the phone and call people. Yeah. I've met people for walks and things like that. And I think you can actually be quite creative in what we can do. And even though it feels restrictive, if you kind of look beyond the restrictions and say, what can I do rather than what I can't, there's a whole lot there. I think what I've consciously stopped is booking meetings. Because I'm finding that everyone is in meetings, and we have to have these organised times where we have to meet and to catch up. And actually, we've lost this sort of ad hoc conversation that we get through the sort of by seeing people, that social interaction that you get. So consciously stopped booking meetings unless I really, really, really have to.
Oh, I like those. I've been talking a bit this week about joy triggers, and I've had a few comments recently saying, I've never heard of that. And I'm thinking, we've all got little triggers that give us some joy, whether it, as you said, even the craft items that have been going for a decade. I've got a couple as well, and a whole camperwood full of material, because I used to design and make for years when I was at home with the children for about 10 years. So they're the joy triggers, even the phone call, even the thought of, I went out for a walk this morning, did a bit of exercise and thought, I'm going to get to speak to Julia today. There's one of my joy triggers. Yep. So it is. And I love the fact that you've actually said you've stopped doing some things because you've thought about what's it going to be like for the other person on the other side of this. And there's a lot about Zoom fatigue at the moment, or Microsoft Team fatigue, whatever it is that's happening. So
just consciously stopping talking about COVID. Right, everyone's talking about it. The last thing people want to know is to talk about it. Pick something else. Like, these questions are great, right? Where we kind of know what's going on outside of our front door, but we're like, I like the fact that you went down to the beach and put your feet in the sand. That's what I want to hear. We need to find those stories.
Well, if someone gave you the crystal ball and said, what do you think the world needs right now, or maybe in the next, well, I'm going to say 2 years, because I do think we're going to be adapting in the next 2 years or so, and possibly longer. If you had that crystal ball, what would you say to us? What do you think the world needs right now?
I think there's lots that the world needs right now. I think what I would love to see more than anything is the dependence on hierarchy, particularly in organisations, but also in families and everything else. The hierarchies to be removed as much as we possibly can. That's probably completely aspirational, but I find a lot of I think for us to succeed over the next 12 to 18 months, 24 months, we need everyone to be really embracing everything that they can and doing everything that they can in a as uninhibited way as they possibly can. And even yesterday I was talking to a good friend of mine, and she's having a really difficult time with her boss. Her team is demotivated, struggling to adapt with what's going on, and she's got some great ideas, but she just feels really blocked, right? She's and it's mentally draining. Motivation goes down, and you've got nowhere to go. So what I would love more than anything is for all of those talented people, all of the people that have got a desire to make a difference, for them to sort of be released into the world, for them to do these amazing things, right? Because people want to see, people want to make a difference. They want to see progress. They want to be able to help. That's naturally the type of people that's what human beings do. It's in our nature.
Well, there's something about if I'm gone tomorrow, just say if I'm gone tomorrow, and it's possible in any time of our life. I'm not usually morbid, but it's a reality. What might be a little grain of sand that I've left for the world. It's like that. If somebody says to you, if someone wrote a eulogy about them, what would they say about you? And you've got a chance now in the next so many years to actually alter that or make the difference to that, what that eulogy might sound like. And there's been so many great ideas. I mean, even on the weekend, there was Australia Live all weekend on Facebook, various things. There's magnificent ballet, theatre, musicals, all the dancing in the street and the garbage bins and the memes about toilet paper, anything. There's a whole lot of good. The reruns of our very particular Aussie humour that sometimes the world doesn't get. Yeah. But, there is so much. If we can harness that, and I think we are. I think people are actually stepping forward. And I like the thought that leaders are being revealed. as we have a different circumstance, and that's as it should be. We shouldn't have, and I agree with you, we shouldn't have a hierarchy that actually pinpoints and says, you're going to be the leader, this is how you're going to do it, and this is how much we're going to pay you. Someone would say to me, that's foolish thinking, Carrie, but I would say, you know what, I think that time is over. And it's interesting the type of leaders at the moment who are getting some following, who people are more and more curious about how they're going about leading. And it's really relational leadership for me.
Yeah,
with
great.
strategic leadership. Yeah. So, yeah, there's been some great stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of leading through or not being in a box in an org chart. I do a lot of work with emerging leaders, and they'll say, well, this is all great, but I'm not a leader. It's like you lead every day. You lead in every meeting that you go to where you contribute. You lead when you organise something with friends. If you're a parent, you lead your family and your unit. So we all lead without being a leader. I think I look at, even just in our local community, what happened when we originally went into isolation, and how quickly businesses changed. And one of our local cafes is owned by a guy called Roberto, and you look like literally he went from one day being a cafe to the next day being a takeaway outlet. And it wasn't down to him; it was down to everyone that works at the cafe going, right, how do we make this work, and how do we cut out some of the crap and just get on with it. And I think we need to do that now more than ever. And I think if I was listening to this and go, well, that's great, what do I do? I just think, well, just focus on what you can. Like, what can you do? Right, the minute what can we finish? As soon as we finish this call, what can you do? What can you do to own your space and do what you need to do? Because that's how you find power, and that's how we make a difference.
Well, showing up can either be half glass full or half glass empty. I've got a very close friend who says to me, oh, for crying out loud, Carrie, you're the eternal optimist. And I go, really? And she goes, oh yeah. She says, I'd call myself a realist. And I went, so she makes me really think about, what is it? But I think I've always thought that I've here, even my family of origin, in your upbringing, the world doesn't owe me much. I owe it for the opportunities I get. So why not take up the opportunities? And I understand that not everybody has the same confidence. And I can tell you right now, when I left a large organisation a couple of years ago, that confidence needed to be helped along, because it's big and frightening. And treading a new path often needs some help and community around us. And I believe that's what's happening during the time of the pandemic. We've actually got this bigger community that we're connecting with globally. AI has been our friend, even though we're whinging about our Wi-Fi reception. But we've actually been able to manage a health issue for our globe, for the world, through innovation that we have come up through. So I'm sure there's going to be more and more innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. And people often say, and I have these conversations, I'll say, it's easy for you, Julie, or you're strong, and your surname's Steele, for Christ's sake, and you ran this 19-day conference, you've got your shit together. And I'm like, no, I have wobbles all the time. Like Thursday, I had a mentoring session with my mentor Tracy Ezard, and with 5 minutes I was in tears. So it's just but I needed to, right? I needed to, as you say, I needed to get some stuff off my chest. I needed to have a connect with some people, with the right people in my life that helped me put myself back together again. And it's I feel much better for having that conversation than just keeping it bottled up inside. And I'm not a glass half full or glass empty kind of person. I just know that I just grab the bottle and say I can put as much or as little in things as I want to, particularly if it's a good red. So just grab the bottle and pour whatever works for you.
That's it. I find that really interesting. There's been a lot about, where to get the best prices on your wine, and I've had Laithwaites delivered twice here. But my husband goes, "Do we need more red wine?" I went, we do, because I'm connecting with people, and it's an easy way to actually find out how people are travelling. And I did that with a group on Saturday night of educators, and of course they're really feeling some pressure. Everything going back to school. There's a lot of political commentary around education, even around our nurses and our policing, so the frontliners. And I really feel for them, and but I know that a lot of them are quite happy to be working in a pattern that they have, some of the pattern that they have known before, and with brand new challenges, and others are finding it really difficult. I think it's quite a cross section of the population. If you had one thing that you'd say to people, this is what could be a gift for you today as we wind up our Thrive Studio, what would it be?
I think the one thing is there is a lot of uncertainty at the moment, that's without question. But there was uncertainty before COVID, and there'll be uncertainty after COVID. And I think the one thing I'd ask people to take away is look beyond the uncertainty to what you can actually do. What is within your control? What can you say yes to? Yes, I can do this. Yes, I should call a friend. Yes, I have got both of my children at home, and I'm getting to see them learn in a way I've never seen them before. Change that. Take that mindset and turn the volume down on the uncertainty, especially given. To be honest, it's out of our control. We can't. There's things that we can do in the four walls of our house, on our street. Focus on that.
And having someone to talk to, who you may not know, often is the gift that we all need. And both Julia and I use coaching habits and coaching to underlie the work that we do with teams and organisations and individuals. And I've got to tell you, I have always had a coach all the way through. They have been different people. One of them has just rung me as we're talking here. So, Jerome, thank you for what you do. Annette Gray's one of the other ones. Scarlett Vespa, Jan Robertson in New Zealand. I've had a whole range, and I suppose, Julia, you have as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not go. I've always got a couple on the go for different things, and I treasure the relationships I have with my coaches and with my coaches, and so I think the more the merrier. And there's so much learning that I've gotten from different industries, people that do different things that are really, really precious to me and are helping me right now as well.
And it's one way that we've been able to adapt or pivot, whatever word you like to say, or just manage what we're doing and look at things that are in our control. Julia, if people would like to contact you, give us your best contact details.
My email is julia@juliasteele.com, so that's steel without an E, as in nerves of steel. You can find me on LinkedIn, same name, Julia Steele. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, so I'm just about everywhere. And one of the exciting things that's come out of Vid19 is that we're standing up a bit of a YouTube channel, so keep an eye out for that too. So all very exciting.
Oh, well done you. That's fantastic. Listeners, great to have you along today. Nerves of steel, I absolutely love that. And I like Julia's phrase, turn down the volume on the uncertainty. There you go. Great tip for today. Thrive Studio is here to tell and share ways that we're all moving and adapting, pivoting to lead in uncertain times, and whether we're leading our families, our partnerships, our businesses, our organisations, our friends, our neighbours, whatever it is, those groups that we belong to. Go gently. You are precious, and your thriving matters. So see you next Tuesday. Thanks again, Julia.
Bye.
Bye.